Now, forecasters have warned that Ukraine's economy will shrink by almost half this year as the Russian invasion and the impact of a deep humanitarian crisis takes its toll. The World Bank said Russia will also fall into recession and the countries bordering Ukraine will suffer too. Well, joining me now is John Alexander. He's author of Citizens, a book charting the rise of the citizen across politics, business and society. John, welcome to you. I mean, the World Bank, this is a very precise forecast, a 45% contraction. I mean, how on earth can they be so specific given the chaos in Ukraine right now?
Well, I mean, I think we can be pretty clear that there's a very significant hit to the Ukrainian economy coming. But I think in many ways the thing we should be most astounded by, I suspect, is the fact that it's quite so resilient as to be only taking a hit of something like 50%. The resilience of the Ukrainian people, the way that they have leaned into the challenge that's set by the invasion of by the Russian invasion, I think is the truly astounding thing. And I think more broadly, looking at the circumstance of such a hit to the economies of the whole region and to broader Western economies. I mean, we're seeing the impact on fuel prices and so on. The German economy certainly will. I think what we're living in is a moment in time where the time when the role of a government is simply to sort of generate economic growth and everyone will carry on and be happy. I think that time is ending, and we're looking at a time when resilience is going to be a key factor, and I think giving people the opportunity to contribute to the success of their societies, treating people as in the language I use in the book, citizens, not just consumers, is going to be the critical thing that the governments, businesses as well, have to do.
The implication there is that we're looking at a bigger state across the piece. Is that your general scenario?
Yeah, I mean, the argument I make in the book is that at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th, up until that point, the dominant story of the individual in society was something like the subject. The right thing to do was to keep your head down, do as you're told, get what you're given. And that story sort of fell apart under the pressure of the Industrial Revolution, the rise of the middle class, and that resulted in the world wars to a large extent. Coming out of those two world wars, we had a new kind of social contract, a new social compact that was embodied in the great institutions of the second half of the 20th century. But where we are now, I think, and that was telling a new story, the idea of people moved from subjects who should keep their heads down and do as they were told to consumers who should look out for themselves, get the best deal that suited them, choose the option that suited them best from those that were offered, on the basis that if we all pursued our own self-interest, then that would add up to the best society as a whole. And that was characterised by the idea that growth is the economic growth, quantitative economic growth is the goal of a good government. And I think what we're living in now is that story collapsing in on itself, much as the subject story did before. And what might be emerging in this time is what I call the citizen story, an idea that the right thing to do actually is to contribute your ideas, energy and resources to the search for the best outcomes for society as a whole. And for governments and businesses and so forth to tap into the ideas, energy and resources of people in order to fulfill that search for the best outcomes. And I think we're living in a moment where there's a seismic shift in the role of institutions, just as there was coming out of the two world wars. And I think if we can lean into that, I think what the Ukrainians are showing, the role that the citizens of Ukraine, but also citizens of the world, if you think about the role that, for example, the Anonymous Collective has played in declaring cyber war on Russia, the open source intelligence movement, which first sort of had its first big success in identifying the Salisbury, the people behind the Salisbury poisonings, the way that people have used Airbnb and Google Maps to provide accurate information about what's going on in Russia by posting things on restaurant reviews and these sorts of things. The role that citizens, all of us, are playing in this moment in time is so much beyond what we're traditionally given the sort of opportunity to do, and the idea that sanctions are the only thing that the West is doing is very limiting, I think, and the opportunity is to see that actually people really want to get involved. I think if you look at what's the results you've just been talking about from France, I think that there is a reflection there as well, that no one is giving the French people an opportunity to say, we want to do something, involve us in the challenges that our country is facing. Give us agency, don't just try and do it for us. And that's a real opportunity for any government or business.
All right, John Alexander, appreciate you joining me. Thank you.